we're so stuck in cultural dividers and all. So if it doesn't have an African overtone, we don't think it's ours. But the fact of the matter is we got whole section of mythology in the South Pacific that we haven't uncovered. We got whole sections of mythology in Hawaii, the goddess Pele, that we haven't uncovered. There's a good book called Shapeshifters, I think the name of the book is, I can't think of the name of it right now, and it deals with the mythology of Pele and the whole Hawaiian thing. That's black people, ancient black people. We know that the earth was one landmass before it was shattered and drifted away. So we had them take your Druids, the thing that the white people claiming called the Celtics and shit. Now you can't have it two ways. You can't be the Druids and the Celtics and all of this type of shit and be in the caves at the same thing. So anytime you hear stuff about the Druids and all that type of stuff, that's us. You see what I'm saying? That's us. So therefore, they are not the native of anything and anywhere. You see what I'm saying? So an originators are nothing and all, because their origin is from the cave. And the thousands of years it took them to evolve, this stuff was already presented to us. We know based on the Afrocentric movement and Runoka Rashidi, other people like Ivan Van Sertima and different people actually showed you the how you doing, sister? Actually showed you the pictures of Africans in early America. You see what I'm saying? So they actually showed you the actual pictures. So Africans in early Europe. So at that particular time, we know that the Celtics, the Celtics, and all of that type of stuff is nothing but us. You see, so therefore we got to go and claim all of this as our particular stuff. So now, dealing with this, I mentioned to you the other that the day after Thanksgiving, the day after New Year's, we rode around Atlanta. And all the projects were closed down. That means that they actually literally got rid of all Section 8 people, or people under the government assistance program. They literally got rid of all of those particular people. Now, the key is they got rid of those people is because, for one thing, we didn't realize that the installation of what is called a Great Society or the welfare program was not talking about an actual program that you get in. Welfare based on the government means a nation of people. So they were not saying that the program was called welfare. They were saying that the people were called welfare. If we understand that we are still 3/5 of a human being and we're not known as United States citizens but as government property, then one section of the property would be welfare. So it's a difference than a person being on welfare than actually saying a certain group of people are called welfare people. So therefore, when they signed to the welfare bill in 1995 to get rid of welfare, they were talking about eliminating that section of people. You see what I'm saying? They were talking about eliminating that section of people other than eliminating welfare. And the actual bill that Bill Clinton signed had a little black woman there, the welfare woman and shit, you know. There, we didn't realize that that was a death warrant for all Section 8 people. So the key was they gave people 30 years to get off of government assistance. They said if your ass was on government assistance by 1995, because, you know, it was installed in 1964-65. So 30 years later, if the people that was left on it, so you could either get on it sometime within the 30-year period and get off of it, but the people who would be left on it by 1995, they felt that those people, in their eyes, was degenerate enough that those people would not be a viable people that could go into the year 2000. Now, despite we know that all the things where they had the people shut in and it's basically the government fault, that ain't the way the government is thinking. Government says, hey, based on the way we deal with things, The people had 30 years to get on and get the fuck off. So those particular ones that were still on it by 1995 and still on it to this day, it just means that they're still cleaning the particular people out. That meant in actuality, those are the people that they feel are not, are expendable, or people that's not deemed fit to go into the year 2000 for what they want to deal with this whole computer age and this whole 9 yards. So the key is this. It's not as bad, it's not as bad up north, but down south, you got groups of people that has a language, especially in Atlanta, it's real bad, where you can't even understand what they say. It's like, it's like a mumbling type shit. So they feel that these particular people can't even get service jobs. So that means these people, because of their language, they're saying that these particular people can't even get a job washing dishes. You see. So the only type of job that they can get is they got something called the Burger King Institute, or the Burger King College. And you could go there and you can probably work, and they separate you. They separate you, and so the ones that can't speak a certain adequate amount of English will be, or in this case, language. They don't care if you say IBs and this and that stuff. They're talking about if you can't pronounce certain words, with your phonics ain't hooked up right, you would be the person that's working behind the scenes. See what I'm saying? You would be the person that's working behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Other than working in the scene, working around the counter. So basically, they got a group of people that they said is actually obsolete. And based on the government charter and based on the bill that they signed, because you don't know, we always go up and they'll say they sign a bill, and we only look at the front page of the bill, the welfare bill. And you probably know the numbers, but the bills are always super big. So the bill might say to eliminate or eradicate all people in the welfare nation. So therefore, they had a complete clean off, and it's probably just starting up here. But in Atlanta, because that's being the place where they start a lot of this particular stuff, because the CDC is there, and the Center of Disease Control, which is the ones that label these people are being unfit as far as disease and as far as population control, as well as the Population 2000 thing with Jimmy Carter. And your Carter Center is down there, which is also called the Atlanta Projects, which started the original projects anyway. So therefore, they have literally cleaned off all of the projects, about 2 million people. Although they started since 1990 to figure out how they was going to actually do it. They actually went ahead, and by 95 it's completely gone now. So I mean, we have whole projects where the buildings are torn down and everything, and those people are gone. And like I said yesterday, we were saying that there's a whole underground Atlanta. If you go down to Atlanta, there's a whole underground. But Atlanta was built on top of another city. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, if there's an underground Atlanta, that means the whole Atlanta is underground. If there's an underground Atlanta downtown, so that means we suspect that they, not only did they put them on trains because there's an underground railroad track, so we suspect that they came up underground, got them from up under the projects, in the projects, from right there probably in the courtyard of the projects, took them underground and put them on trains and shipped them out. And this is how millions of people have disappeared and nobody has no idea what the fuck is going on. You see what I'm saying? What's going on. So that means that in actuality, under this particular clause, is what is actually happening. Now, I should have just told her to bring the bag. Cause obviously, just tell her to bring my brown bag. Tell her to bring that one and all, because obviously she can't find it, you know. But the reason why this is going on, and I want to show you something. So right now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find. Just tell her to bring the entire bag. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find. Just tell them to bring the entire brown bag. The entire brown bag. I want to show you something here. In here. To show you what's actually going on. What we're talking about here is you have the 30s. The 30s and the 90s, yeah. Yeah, I want to show you this. Now, I want to get a particular picture. You have, I think Sister Delilah, I saw it in here the last time, but I want to show you this. I want to show you this particular insignia. And as you know, the Nazi Party in Germany took a lot of Egyptian symbology. It took a lot of Egyptian symbology to put that together because, as you know, the Nazi Party was started from the Thule Society, which is an esoteric society, or what you call a metaphysical society. And what you know as the Nazi Party is, in fact, the political branch. So people thought it was the Nazi Party. The Nazi Party is only the political branch of the Thule Society. And the Thule Society, now there's a book you need to get that goes into all of that in this particular book, Arctos, the Polar Myths by Jocelyn Godwin. Jocelyn Godwin, or Goodwin. And I wanted to show you this symbology here of what the Nazi Party was. I should have put it together this morning, but I forgot all about it. But anyway, what it is, yeah, here it is. I got one piece right here. Now, I want them to focus in on this because I can only show you the bottom of this. As you can see here, this is Adolf Hitler. And as you can see here, there's a picture of the Falcon of Horus. This is the bottom part. Can you see that? Of the Falcon of Horus. And he's holding in his hand a swastika, which we know is the first alphabet in the first letter in the Jewish alphabet. It's called the Whirling Cross, and the swastika is seen in every culture. And it simply means the black dot, the Son of God, S-U-N of God, or just basically a symbol for spirit itself, or the highest form of spirit. And it's probably one of the most sacred symbols because even in your book, Albert Churchward's book, Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man, in that particular book, they show the different swastikas from all over the world. Anyway, I want you to look real close. I want to pass these out. I want to pass these out, and I want to show you this. You can pass these around. And I want to show you this. I'm going to, yeah, just take them and pass them around to everybody. Make sure everybody get one. And in here, you will see on this little corner here, this is a calendar of the Hawks basketball game. And on here, you will see that the new color, the new symbol of the Atlanta Hawks, you will see the same falcon. And where this falcon was holding the swastika at the bottom, it's holding a basketball. But if you look at the basketball, it still has a swastika or a geometrical type shape. A geometrical type shape. Now, if you also notice that the Nazi Party colors were black and red. And as you see, the Atlanta Hawks colors are black and red. You might want to put one up to the camera if you want to. You might just want to just put it up to the camera and see, can you see it? And focus in. It's black and red. It's also, now these are positive colors, but the simple fact they call what is called the black and red temple of Atlantis, which the base of your kundalini is called red, or the red chakra, which is the goddess Sekhmet. The top is also called the black dot. So this gives you the whole spectrum from black to red. But in actuality, these are the Nazi Germany colors. Now, what are the odds of them taking the same exact falcon that once held the swastika at the bottom of his feet and holding the basketball? And if you look at that basketball is geometrically shaped to actually give you all the actual four elements. This is what basically the swastika: earth, air, water, fire. Earth, air, water, fire, which is the four elements. The fifth element is actually the falcon, which is actually representing the illuminated spirit of the black man in the form of Horus or Heru. In the form of Horus and Heru. But anyway, what we have here is to show you that they are actually using the same energy of World War II, although that energy is the same energy that we have to use, because the whole World War II and the whole thru society was actually tapping into an energy that later day would be meant for us. Even Adolf Hitler even said, I am not the actual Messiah, but I know of a group of people, I believe there's a group of people that will come along one day and they will access this same energy. But on the other hand, by the white boy having to jump on us, he's actually said, I've started World War II concentration camp all over again in Atlanta, and started off with Atlanta, Georgia being Nazi Germany, is what you actually have here. You see, started off with Atlanta, Georgia being Nazi Germany. You see. And so that's what you're actually dealing with here with the Atlanta Hawks thing. I mean, you could keep that and show that to people. And if you ever did any other research and all, you would notice that all of the Nazis' party colors was black and red, which you also have the Atlanta Falcons, which is also black and red. So that means that they, although we understand that that's the spiritual colors and spiritual things for us, they're also using it in the context that they're using it to take or to reinstall the second edition of what was the Holocaust of Nazi Germany. And so they started out of Atlanta, Georgia, and that was the actual key. In this particular case, with this whole thing has to come a Messiah that lines up with the whole thing that they're actually dealing with. And that Messiah is Martin Luther King. For white people, or basically what they want black people to follow. Now, let me get into this, because what's happening here is this. And we think that it might have happened far back as the 60s, but we understood that they took over the whole world with this whole Jesus Christ hoax. But they knew basically that the whole Jesus Christ hoax, because the Jesus of the 2,000 years never existed. It was just a plagiarized thing of the god Heru, but the physical man never existed. So when Dr. Ben, they say, well, what about Jesus Christ? And he said, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. There is no historical study of this man ever existing. So the people said, we're a little confused. I thought the Jeromancer said it was Yeshua ben Pandera. Well, a brother named Brother O. Tim, that is a well-studied brother, that we should have come to Philadelphia one time and speak, said, well, what had happened is that Jeromancy, in looking in his lecture, Historical Jesus, Mythical Christ, in his book, Jeromancy Lectures, in looking back at the time of Jesus, the only person that they could find was a guy named Yeshua ben Pandera, and said he was a revolutionary figure that was crucified by the Roman government. But that was the only person that they could actually find, but it did not necessarily mean that he was the Jesus of the mythical Christ, which the Hebrews and the Africans and even the Muslims knew would come in the last days, Mahdi, Har-Maku, Metatron. But the historical Jesus, mythical Christ, that particular book, but even Dr. Ben said that no, there was no historical person. So the white man said, well, we know it ain't going to be a white person. That's not historically adequate. But it can be a black person that we can paint as the Christ. And that black person was Martin Luther King. And the whole key with the whole Martin Luther King dilemma is for him to make a movement and actually die in the process. And we believe that he, either being an agent or one of the first clones, knew it, because the last tape where he's talking about going to the mountaintop, he knew that that was the last night of his fucking life. If you study the tape, this man knew that he only had either that night to live or no more than a month or two. You see. Or within weeks he would be dead. Including Malcolm X. Say, you know, you're looking at a dead man. Well, he knew that based on the fucking Muslim was going to kick his ass for ratting out. And yeah, Honorable Elijah Muhammad did all those things with the damn women. But they figure like this, you don't need to run to no fucking Mike Wallace. There's a difference. We handle our business family matter. So we're not letting Honorable Elijah off the hook. He did that shit to the women, you see. But you take the message and not the messenger. But the key is, based on Martin Luther King, we know that this is a classical setup where you also have the martyr type of phenomenon kicked in. And as a result, we understand that the whole project was given, they had to give it a parade, they had to give it the birthday, and they had to give it all this stuff. But I should have brought it to put it on the tape. But they got these new paintings in Atlanta, what white people did with Martin Luther King, with the thorns around his head like Jesus, with the Christ thing, that crown around his head, that crown of thorns around his head. And they got these new pictures like that. So what it is huh? They're selling prints of it. Right. So what the deal is they're trying to paint him as the Messiah. So they've already started to make him as equal as Christmas. Because the whole Christ thing, we understand, comes from other ancient mythology. But they say the only real person in modern history that we can account for, that we would say was lined up with the original people that's supposed to rise up in the hills of North America, is the person that we made, and that's Martin Luther King, which coincides more for white people than he does black people. So as a result, they have made him the Christ, and so as a result, this year you've seen something that is more phenomenal than anything. Because if they're still on this apology thing, all of a sudden, what happened was they shut down Wall Street for his birthday. Right. Now, wait a damn minute. They don't shut down Wall Street for fucking Washington's birthday, and he the father of the country. Now, how is it that you go from 10 years ago even debating whether you're going to give this man a holiday, that some niggas had to fight hard to get that done, or either they will set the agenda and make you fight to make you think you're getting it done. But how is it that you can go from 10 years whether the holiday is a debate, or 2 or 3 years ago, where you got Denver and other places in Phoenix or whatever fighting not to have this man's shit birthday, and all of a sudden you're going to go to Wall Street, the financial district that is dealing with money, and you're going to have them shut down on Martin Luther King's birthday? And you think the motherfucking white man is that decent to do that shit? And they say, oh, well, Jesse Jackson is a motherfucking government clone. And the only thing he does is the government tells him what to do, and he goes out and set the agenda and make black people think that it is a black agenda, and the government caved into the black agenda. So they say, well, Jesse, no, the government decided to shut down on his birthday, and then another thing happened. On his birthday, the Empire State Building put their lights on red, black, and green. The Empire State Building, the Empire State is what it means, which is the head of America. New York City is the head of America. The old empire was Philadelphia. It's New York, the empire. What's the name? Is just a paperwork place, Washington, D.C. The empire is what? The financial district. Right? Now, you mean to tell me the financial district would shut down and the empire, and their flag would be red, black, and green? Then you'll understand that they are actually painting this motherfucker for the Messiah. And then they would take his son and put him the head of SCLC, this whole Christian thing, and this whole Christian thing, and talking about these people are following in the footsteps of the damn dream. Fucking sons. Who the hell even know these motherfuckers? And since when did they come to some black community? You see what I'm saying? So the key here is, what you're dealing with here is, you're dealing with them actually fashioning their own form of the Messiah. Now, we don't know what the white man, he's psychopathic too. So we understand that he does things just in case. He said, well, why not? Why not make this motherfucker a Messiah? You see what I'm saying? It could very well work, because most black people are following him any damn way. You see, so it's very key that you got to understand what's actually going down. Just look at the magnitude of them shutting down the fucking Wall Street for a black person. You see what I'm saying? And I'm quite sure they got white people in their race that's done noble things that probably deserve for white people to get shut down, but they didn't shut their shit down. You see what I'm saying? So that ought to let you know something. But even the whole key is he was talking about, I'm going to the mountaintop. That's a form of ascension that he's actually dealing with. So it wouldn't be too far to say that maybe a year or so they might come out with a whole Bible on the whole thing of Martin Luther King and say, hey, this man is the true historical Christ. Right. Because if the Bible said Christ was coming back, they could say, hey, this is the true historical Christ. You see. And he would be a Christ. You know it was. I mean, but look, he was a Christ for doggone white people. He sure wasn't one with us. He was mad. A madman to tell motherfuckers to damn shed blood when they blow up your black daughters in a damn church. And niggas don't fight back. Right there, that makes you the damn punks of the world and not to fight back after they kill your daughters. Once a motherfucker can kill your child and you don't do shit, you ain't nothing but a hoe for the rest of your life. And that seal black people that they know that they can have their cooperation with black people forever. So it's very key that you understand that at this particular time on what's actually going down with this whole Martin Luther King thing. The other thing is they say, well, if we get this thing in the West, we might miss the East. So they say, well, what we're going to do is we're going to jump on the bandwagon and we're going to damn rescue the Dalai Lama in Tibet. Because maybe the shit might come from Tibet. So they got all these white-ass movie stars and all these white people now talking shit about damn China and what they did to Tibet. What about South Africa? Well, they covered that part of the world with Mandela. So they're not leaving no stones unturned. But now all of a sudden they say, so we got the doggone North, South, East, West. The North, hell, that's this little boy Philip or whatever the name is that they got the mama out of the way with trying to fuck a black man, Diana. Yeah. So that's supposed to be the new king of the North. The West, Martin Luther King. You see what I'm saying? The South, if you want to talk about longitude and latitude, that would be Mandela. And the East would be the Dalai Lama. So they would cover all portions of the globe and get new people to act as this other than the Pope. You know what I'm saying? Some sheikh or some other religious figure of the old cycle. But this is the way they do things ritualistically. So now they own the bandwagon, this Dalai Lama motherfucker, which I know he ain't got no juice. They asked this fool on TV, is the world getting better? And he said, yeah. Is America getting better? He said, yes. You see what I'm saying?
They interviewed about UFOs, too.
You see, so I mean, this fool here, but you don't realize about the Tibetan and the Indians, there's a portion of the divine mysteries that the Indians lost because they got so many caste systems, you Tibetans and stuff, they got so many caste systems, it's so old until they lost a certain amount of things. You see what I'm saying?
Well, he can't go home either. He's an outcast.
What I'm saying is that's the whole key. See, if you understand the whole thing with the Kabbalah and the mystery of Shekinah being in exile, then you'll understand that the return of the Dalai Lama is also trying to line him up as the Eastern Messiah. You see what I'm saying? As the Eastern Messiah. You see. So what it is they're trying to paint this world Messiah all around the doggone globe. Covering all bases. So now all of a sudden everybody concerned with the Dalai Lama. Because you got to realize American society is whatever the government wants you to damn be a champion of, you'll be a champion of. If they tell you now to save the motherfucking rats, if they give a damn campaign the right way, you'll be saving rats. You know, everybody crying about a motherfucking mink. You see, people been wearing fur coats for thousands of years and stuff, especially if you was a damn dog sled motherfucker up in damn Alaska. What else was you gonna do? You better wear one, but I'm talking about all of a sudden everybody crying for a doggone mink with it nothing but an oversized rat anyway. And it's a form of nature in the first place. Hey, you don't realize and all, we created it. It's nothing real big. It's nothing but some energy that's trapped down here. It just goes back to the doggone astral plane. So what is extinct? The whole world is extinct in that particular thing. So what? Wear your mink coat, you see. But they always get on a cause and stuff, so the white man always want to feel humane. That's the way he want to keep this thing rolling and all, just in case. Just in case some things happen. Now, Edgar Cayce predicted the destruction of a large part of the globe in 1998. And also, he said that the advent of World War III by 1999 and the end of world civilization by 2000. So this is the whole 2000 mark that basically most of the Europeans are going by. Edgar Cayce also said it'll be a child that will be born called John Pineal. If you know, John is the Hebrew Elijah, and the Hebrew Elijah is the Egyptian Tahuti, and Hermes and Anubis is a part of that, so it's actually talking about an energy. John or Elijah or Anubis or Tahuti would be the mysteries of melanin, because you get the Hermetics comes from Tahuti, and Hermetics is the mystery of alchemy, and the pineal gland would actually be the producer of the actual melanin. So this is Edgar Cayce was right on this, but the people are thinking it's a literal figure. You see, it's a literal figure, and it said, but this particular person will be born, and after this new Avatar will guide the world to a new millennium. So they're actually talking about the pineal gland, Lucifer, light bringer, the guiding the world to a new millennium. So this is a metaphysical quote here of what is actually going to take place in black people. You see what I'm saying? Take place in black people. Now, dealing with other metaphysical mysteries, we know now that if, the heart chakra is one of the organs that produces knowledge. So we understand this particular part about the heart chakra. If your heart is not in it, you can't receive a certain amount of knowledge. I talked about this before, about the knowledge being stuck, or the consciousness being stuck in the root chakra. Well, the heart chakra, which is the main part, which was actually from this on up, you can get to the higher pineal area. If the heart chakra is not open, you can't produce knowledge. So in actuality, by a person's consciousness being stuck on the lower on the lower base root of the actual kundalini, we are actually going to have to free those particular souls when it comes, because those souls won't be able to illuminate. It would take another 1,000 years for them to incarnate with an open heart chakra, that they could get to the point to accept knowledge on the way you accept knowledge. So therefore, we're going to have to help them along by killing the physical body. So that means thousands of our people are going to die too. Now, what do you mean by that? You're saying, well, is that talking about the same elitist thing? No. We're talking about now dealing with the whole thing with Revelations, the book of Coming Forth by Day, talk about a group of advanced beings that will come in and help and assist humanity to the next evolutionary phase. Just so happen we know that those advanced beings are the ones that's been carrying on and suffering through the last 10, 12, 20, 30 years in some form of consciousness, even the time when the movements were not in the consciousness where the masses of the people would follow. We're talking about a group of people that is hanging on by the last thread. You see what I'm saying? By the last thread. So we're talking about the brothers and sisters from all walks of organizations, being metaphysical, even being to some part of political organizations, like, you know, even your Nation of Islam and all. I talked about that particular thing last night. We're talking about those particular people having some form of knowledge that will be able to assist. But it's going to be damn near what a revelation say, this particular army coming, it will be a fearful army. That's actually us. So don't worry about the people, because the people will be free. We just got to free some of them, because in actuality, none of us will have a physical body when we get through with this particular part. And we're talking about the whole chakra line up here. The whole chakra line up between the root chakra and the high chakra, that whole particular lineup we're talking about in actuality is the kundalini, or what is called the backbone of Osiris, which is also called the Djet pillar. And the Djet pillar later on is called the Jedi warrior. So in the Jedi warrior in Star Wars, which means the one who has the completion of the Djet pillar, which is the backbone of Osiris, which is the melanated ones. You see, which is the actual melanated ones. Like I mentioned too in the book, the annotated scriptures of Star Wars, as well as the complete guide to Star Wars universe. In that particular part, they got a whole section where they talk about the Jedi Bendu. And we've said plenty of time before that the India, the black dot, is called the Bendu seed, or we call it Jedi Bendu, which in actuality is talking about the black dot. And that's what the whole